Hello, you're watching the online media channel of the Social Research Center. Next to me is my colleague from the center who is representing the Public Opinion Analysis Department. We are going to discuss the latest published issue of the Trust Index report of the analytical review published by the center, which is highlighting the public opinion based on the main findings of the social poll. If you were able to watch our previous program dedicated to this topic, then you may know that this type of polls is being conducted by the center periodically. And following the released report, which is revealing the analysis of these results, is taken in a regular base. And now I want to address some of my questions to the sociologist Mr. Inglab Shahbazov regarding the new edition of the Trust Index report published by the center recently. Dear Inglab, the sociological science and the methodological conduct of running surveys are complex, and what you're doing is hard work while applying the cutting-edge technology and brand new methods in order to measure the public opinion of targeted groups and demographics concerned. No? And you took part in the accomplishment of this questionnaire, and we know that your department leads running this work, and up to now several surveys been carried out by your team now. And so please let's first take a moment to remind our viewers the major methodological principles that you prefer to apply in general, then further on clarifying the sample of the April issue of the Trust Index report particularly. And we can also learn about the main objective of realizing this survey, please.
Thank you, Ayten, for the invitation. Our survey, which was conducted throughout March, was based on quantitative methodology. Within quantitative methodology, we used structured questionnaires where we had a set of questions with close-ended answer options. We used, as you said, one of the cutting-edge technologies in the survey community, if you will, which is called Survey2Go applications. So we conduct our survey, including this one, and the other ones by the center, through the use of tablets. So our tablets have a special application installed to them called Survey2Go, which allows us to monitor the activities of our team in the field. So when they go out, and we can monitor them through GPS location system, then we could see where they're working currently and other things. So we can monitor other aspects of their behavior, which is really good in modern times when you have a large team, when you need to cover whole country. That's very useful system. Also, this system allows us to get data input automatically. Once the survey is finalized, all the data is transferred back to the database, so we can analyze our data and come to conclusion. So that's how we do our survey. In terms of the sample, how many people we have covered, usually Social Research Center covers at least 1,200 people. Around this number. Sometimes we go up and we go beyond 2,000. This time we had 1,212 respondents. They were from all economic regions of Azerbaijan except Nagorno-Karabakh and Nakhchivan Autonomous Republic. Because of accessibility issues, we didn't cover them. Within these economic regions, we had a fairly balanced proportion of respondents in terms of gender, and we had a slightly higher proportion of people with secondary education. In other words, the people who hasn't gone beyond school, they haven't admitted to university. In terms of age groups, we had a slightly more proportion of people aged between 35 and 60. Then we had people from other groups as well. So we can speak of a nationally representative sample. Because methodologically, if you cover 1,212 people and you have balance in between socio-demographic characteristics, then you can speak of national representative sample, which we have achieved in our survey. So yeah, basically that's the essential parts of our methodology. Then, if you will, I can talk about main findings.
Yeah, please. I think we should now take more focus on the significant findings that are specifically highlight the public opinion on identified priority questions. No, precisely, what findings do you think reflect more the purpose of asking these questions? I mean, in other words, the main message or idea that we have to grasp by analyzing these achieved results, please.
Our survey, as you mentioned in the beginning of our speech, is about assessing public's opinion on the performance of president and as well as other branches of government, so executive government and the judicial in other words, courts. As was the case in our last survey, which was conducted towards the end of 2019, people's opinion on president is mostly positive. So people have higher level of trust to president in comparison to other branches of government, and people believe that president is doing well in terms of his performance, official duties. However, when we look at the breakdown of the president's official duties and people's assessment of them, we can see some slight variations in between them. So, let's say in foreign policy and army management, president have a very high level of positive score, which is above 90%. However, if you look at other areas like the management of economy and agriculture, it's slightly lower, which is around 80%. And when I say 80%, it means not all 80% of people hold same level of attitude. So some of them think president does really well, some of them think president does fairly well, and some of them think president does kind of well. So those people still have some concerns about president's performance in these respects. Then if we look at how president does in comparison to other branches of government, he's far ahead from when we compare it to courts and executive government. Again, more than 90% of people trust president and think that he is doing his job well, and there's no need to change. However, about 50% of people believe that there's a need for change and reforms in court and executive government system. So that's the area people are really concerned about. 50% of people are really concerned about, because the population is divided into half in this topic. Yes, it was a case in our last survey, and it was a case in previous surveys by different organizations in Azerbaijan. So we believe that there has to be some new further change in this area, so we can see a higher level of trust by people to the executive government and courts.
I think that when we sum up all the outcomes and consequences, then we can see that the general trust to the government in overall activities and policies risen over the last 3 months, no? And the total values of the average indicators are higher than those of the ones in the previous report, yes. No? I would like us to finally touch at this moment to the current strategic actions that are taken by the governmental structures and bodies in consideration to the ongoing events around the world regarding the recently emerged and then lately announced as pandemic, so-called COVID-19, I mean the new coronavirus disease. No? So we've seen this report that we're talking about. What do you think, how to measure the state response to eliminate or reduce the negative impact of the pandemic in Azerbaijan?
Very good question, and it was indeed one of the parts of our questionnaire. Just let me note that we have another survey which later come out.
Yes, I know that you have just a couple of days ago presented separately another report, yes. Which is emphasizing the social analysis on the implementation of strategy by the government for fighting against the spread of this disease, and also on its socioeconomic impact as well. Yeah?
Yes, exactly. So what I wanted to say is people really interested in how citizens perceive government's actions. They can look at that report as well. But in this report, we had a few questions on how the people think president handles the current circumstances. As we all know, it is unprecedented in human history, very chaotic situation we have in the world. In Azerbaijan, the government took really preventive actions at a very early stage. If you compare our country's performance to many major developed countries, we can see that our government took very early measures that I believe prevented higher escalation of cases of COVID-19. So I believe that one of the reasons why we have a very low level of COVID-19 cases in comparison to many countries in the world is the actions of government at a very early stage. How people think about the president in this regard. Again, people have a very high level of trust in president in the way that they think he is doing and he will do whatever it takes to contain the spread of virus. Especially people are really satisfied about actions on the closure of borders and the shutdown of schools as well as other public facilities. The area where many people struggle to express opinion about was related to financial markets and currency exchange rate. So although about two or three quarters of people think that yes, president is doing well, the remaining part couldn't express any opinion. So because they had no opinion how the exchange rate is maintained and what does the president do about this. So there's further need for awareness, maybe raising awareness among people that these actions are done to maintain our currency rate, and these actions are done to maintain our safety, and etc. So we believe there's a need for further information dissemination by TVs and by social media. And by the way, one of the things we ask people is, where do you get information from about president? And TV again came up first. As it was in previous surveys, we had over 80% of people stating that they receive information about president from TV. 40% they receive information from social media. Unfortunately, very few percent, about less than 10%, they receive information from the president.us official website. So I believe again people should be made aware of the presence of this website, existence of the website, and I don't know how the media community can do this, but there's an urgent need for it to happen, so people can get the information from the official source of president. However, in terms of COVID-19, let me make few notes as well, which could be of interest to our viewers, and also readers actually. So, although people are really happy, really satisfied with what president does, there are a few areas people are concerned about, which we covered in our next survey. So mainly they revolve around the loss of income in a short period. As you know, in the whole world, unemployment actually is one of the most pressing concerns for any government. We have this problem as well, expressed by our numbers in our survey, and I believe what government has done very recently in terms of the implementation of support mechanisms on economic and social spheres will change people's mind in a positive way, because in our survey about 40% of people express concern about the loss of income and their inability to pay their monthly payments, such as credit bills and utility bills.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, dear Ingelab. Thank you for this comprehensive information and clarification. I think worth to mention that researching social updates and learning public opinion is a quite important institution now. And by actively performing in this sphere, you're doing a good job. I think, yes, making assessments, delivering solid results to the public. And yeah, with this work, you're doing a full-time service in measuring the public opinion or by the most applicable forms and reliable ways of methodology. Thank you for being today with us, and thank you for sharing the most needed information on your report. Well, today we've discussed the latest figures available on the reports presented by the Social Research Center based on the public surveys conducted. Thank you for watching us, keep following us, and stay tuned for upcoming programs, and also keep staying safe. Bye.